Dr. Shaw, get your popcorn ready because I'm just about to tell you a story about a conflict I had to deal with my roommate. So, a new girl moved into my apartment, and after about just a few weeks, I came back from spring break and everyone was acting a little bit different. But since I try to avoid conflict, I didn't want to say anything. So, I just went in my room and did my day to day stuff until one day she said, Shannon, what time is your boyfriend coming over to visit? We need to talk to you about something, her and the other roommate I had. So I started feeling a little bit nervous, like, oh, what is she going to say? What did I do wrong? Because I hate conflict and I didn't want to deal with it. So I started getting nervous and kind of emotional. So she sat me down on the couch and she was saying, just accusing me of all this stuff that I didn't do. Like, you left a dish when you left for spring break, you left a sock on the dryer and stuff that wasn't even mine. So I was very confused. So she just started accusing me of everything that I didn't do. And the other girl, which I had been roommates for a year, I feel like she had brainwashed her and she started agreeing with the other girl. And it turned into this big, huge thing because my boyfriend had come to pick me up and he knocked on the door and he saw that I was about to cry and he said, "Can I come in?" And I said, "No, just wait a minute. I'm talking to my roommates about something." And he was like, "Are you okay, Shannon?" And I'm like, and then I just started crying because I didn't know what to do in that situation when I felt like I was being attacked for something that I didn't do. So I ended up going outside and waiting, and my boyfriend went inside to talk to them to try to mediate things. And it ended up escalating. He went in there, saying, "What's going on? Why is Shannon crying? What did you guys say to her? She can't breathe. She's literally bawling her eyes out." And they were like, "We didn't say anything, just making up stuff and everything." And he tried to harmonize and fix things. And we ended up going back to his apartment after because I felt uncomfortable being there. And she sent me this text saying, at 8:30 p.m., I felt assaulted by Kyle and all of this stuff that she was going to call the cops and everything, even though he didn't even do anything. He just asked, about the situation. And it ended up escalating. She kept calling the cops like every night. They would come to my house and knock on the door and she'd make up these stories and it was just terrible. So after that and my whole life, I've always avoided conflict. So I even had my boyfriend take the test, the conflict quiz that you had up on Blackboard, and he was more of a harmonizer while I was more of an avoidance style of conflict. And I feel like that is true. I do try to avoid things because I don't like the conflict, the anxiety that it brings to me, and people not liking me and stuff. So I ended up moving out of the apartment because I just felt so uncomfortable. Even though I should have been the one to speak up and tell them, I didn't leave any of that. It wasn't my fault, instead of just crying and acting the way I did, but I couldn't help it when I felt like I was 2-to-1 being attacked. So I feel like as a PT, I need to have open communication with my patients and I need to discuss things with them and be open with them. And I found 2 articles online. And one of them is the use and misuse of an avoiding style in conflict management. It was a Myers-Briggs type indicator, and it showed that people who avoid conflict are more introverted rather than extroverted, which I feel like is true. And conflict management article. Some can say avoiding conflict is a negative style, but in certain situations it may be the best in the cases that the argument may not even be important or even worth arguing about. But sometimes you need to argue in a relationship to understand where the other person is coming from. And this was from the additional readings that you provided. You need to listen to the other person's point of view. Clarify the real issues rather than just making assumptions. Restate what you heard to make sure you understood where the person's coming from. If someone comes in with a knee surgery and they don't want to do the exercises because they feel like they don't work, you need to understand where they're coming from and saying you can imagine why they're feeling this way and why they feel like it's not going to work. And you really need to understand how your patients are feeling and say you're glad that we're trying to figure this out and work together. Thank you.